Welcome to Trump Wire, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. President Trump threatens new tariffs on Canadian goods, a classic power move designed to put pressure on America's northern neighbor. The message is clear: play by Washington's rules or pay the price. For years, the US and Canada have enjoyed a mostly friendly trading relationship, but this move signals a shift, a willingness to use economic leverage to get what the US wants. But British Columbia isn't backing down. Instead of folding under pressure, BC is digging in its heels, determined to show that it won't be bullied, even by the world's largest economy. Their counter? A toll booth for American trucks heading to Alaska. It's a move that's as creative as it is controversial, targeting a vital artery of trade between the lower 48 states and Alaska. Premier David Eby's plan is simple but bold. Make US trucks pay to cross BC on their way north. The idea is to hit back where it hurts, using geography as leverage. Alaska, after all, is landlocked from the rest of the US, and the only practical route for supplies runs straight through British Columbia. It's a bold escalation, and not just about tolls. BC is considering a boycott of American products, even pulling certain US liquors from shelves. Alaska's leaders are alarmed. The threat isn't just economic, it's personal, affecting what people can buy and how businesses operate. Most of Alaska's supplies come by truck through BC: food, oil equipment, essentials. If those trucks are delayed or costs rise, it's not just businesses that suffer, but families, schools, and hospitals across Alaska. The Alaska Trucking Association warns, these tolls will drive up costs for everyone. Higher prices at the pump, at the grocery store, and for critical infrastructure projects could ripple through the state's economy. BC officials say the tolls are technically possible, but legal questions remain. Can a province really impose such fees on international trade routes? The answer isn't clear, and lawyers on both sides are scrambling to find out. How much would they charge? Would it be a flat fee, or would it vary by cargo? The details are still being debated, but the uncertainty alone is enough to make shippers nervous. Is it legal under trade rules? No one knows. NAFTA, the USMCA, and other agreements all have provisions about free movement of goods, but this situation is unprecedented. The situation is a high-stakes standoff between close allies. Both sides have much to lose, and neither wants to be seen as weak. Both sides are looking to Ottawa and Washington to step in before things spiral. National leaders are under pressure to find a diplomatic solution, but domestic politics make compromise difficult. This isn't just a trade dispute, it's a test of how far provinces will go to defend their interests. It's also a warning to other regions. Local decisions can have international consequences. The outcome could reshape cross-border relations for years. If BC succeeds, other provinces or states might try similar tactics in future disputes. The message from BC: Canada won't be pushed around. The province is standing up not just for itself, but for Canadian sovereignty. The message from Alaska: don't mess with our lifeline. Alaskans are fiercely protective of their supply routes, and any threat is taken seriously. The world is watching to see who blinks first. This standoff is making headlines far beyond North America, as other countries watch to see how two close allies handle their differences. The stakes? Everyday life for thousands on both sides of the border. From grocery store shelves to gas stations, the impact could be felt in the most ordinary places. And it all started with a toll booth, a small barrier with the power to disrupt an entire region. Trump's tariffs aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet, they're a daily reality, hitting border towns hard and reshaping the lives of people who live and work along the line that separates the US and Canada. The Canada-US relationship is fraying at the seams, especially in places where crossing the border is a routine part of life. Every day, thousands of people move back and forth for work, shopping, or to see family. But now, each trip is more complicated and uncertain. Provinces like Ontario and Yukon are joining British Columbia, adding new fees and restrictions on US goods. These measures are meant to push back against the tariffs, but they're also making it harder for local businesses to operate, and for families to afford everyday items. It's a coordinated pushback, designed to pressure American industries to lobby for change in Washington. Business leaders and workers alike are raising their voices, hoping to reverse the policies that are hurting their bottom line. The result? Higher prices on store shelves, more complicated business deals, and even friends and neighbors finding themselves on opposite sides of heated debates about tariffs and trade. Small businesses on both sides of the border are feeling the pain. Many are struggling to keep their doors open, and some have already closed, leaving empty storefronts and lost jobs in their wake. A once busy shop in Washington state now sits empty after losing its Canadian customers. Meanwhile, a family in Ontario faces new hurdles and extra costs just to visit relatives in New York, turning what used to be a simple trip into a stressful ordeal. The economies of these regions are deeply intertwined. Businesses, workers, and families depend on cross-border trade and cooperation. Now that entire system is under threat, putting livelihoods and futures at risk. The social fabric is fraying as well. Communities that once prided themselves on cross-border friendships and shared events are now divided by suspicion and disagreement. What was once an open, friendly border is now a source of tension and anxiety. Even a routine crossing can feel intimidating with longer waits and more questions. International politics is no longer just something you see on the news. It's personal. It's in every conversation, every decision, and every plan for the future. Neighbors who used to share barbecues and block parties are now avoiding each other, as former friends become distant over disagreements about the trade war. The simple act of crossing the border, once taken for granted, is now fraught with anxiety and uncertainty, as people worry about what new rules or fees might await them. The real cost of this trade war isn't just measured in dollars and cents. It's seen in the everyday lives of people who just want to get along, work hard, and build a future together across the border. In the Yukon, the landscape is vast and beautiful, but the communities here are tightly knit, and every decision made at the border ripples through daily life. For people living here, the trade fight isn't just a distant political issue, it's personal, affecting friends, families, and livelihoods. Towns like Whitehorse and Skagway have always been deeply connected. Families cross the border for shopping, vacations, and to visit loved ones. These ties have been built over generations, making the current conflict even more painful. But now, frustration is boiling over. People are angry, feeling ignored by leaders far away, and worried about what the future holds. Karen McCall, a Whitehorse resident, decided to take action. She wrote a heartfelt, viral breakup letter to Alaska, urging her neighbors to boycott cross-border shopping and travel. Her message was clear: hit Alaska in the wallet, and maybe, just maybe, politicians will finally pay attention to the real impact of their decisions. The boycott idea quickly spread through social media and word of mouth. Many Canadians feel betrayed by U.S. trade policies, and for them, this is a way to push back. For some, it's the only way to be heard when governments are deadlocked and ordinary voices seem to get lost in the noise. But the boycott is divisive. Not everyone agrees on the best way forward, and old friendships are being tested. Some worry that the boycott will end up hurting friends and neighbors, local shop owners and workers, more than the politicians it targets. The debate is tearing at the community's fabric, creating rifts where there was once unity. People want to protest, to make their voices heard, but they don't want to lose the cross-border ties that define their lives. It's a grassroots movement born of frustration, and it's exposing just how complicated and fragile these relationships really are. The emotional toll is real. People are struggling with anger, sadness, and uncertainty about what comes next. The trade war isn't just about money, it's about identity, belonging, and the future of these border communities. Despite the political drama, many refuse to let the conflict define them. In Yukon and Alaska, local leaders and organizers are working to keep communities connected. The Kluane-Chilkat International Bike Relay, spanning both countries, continues as a symbol of unity. Events like this are acts of defiance, reminders that friendship matters more than politics. Alaskan politicians have spoken out against the tariffs, acknowledging the harm to both sides. These gestures offer hope. Not everyone supports the trade war. Local efforts are a powerful counter-narrative to division. While governments feud, people focus on what unites them. These actions show a deep desire to preserve cross-border bonds. Community ties, built over generations, are proving resilient. Even in a trade war, unity can triumph. The human connection is stronger than any border. President Trump called the Canada-US border artificial, and he's not wrong. The border was drawn by politicians in distant capitals, not by geography. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney responded, "Canada is not for sale." He defended Canada's sovereignty, but also stressed partnership. The border's creation had real consequences, especially for Indigenous peoples. Their lands were split, families divided, communities disrupted. For them, the border was meaningless, a line imposed on their way of life. This history adds complexity to today's disputes. Borders aren't just political, they shape lives, cultures, and identities. The story of the Canada-US border is one of power, politics, and people caught in the middle. When we talk about artificial lines, we can't forget the human cost. The border is more than a line, it's a force that shaped generations, and its legacy is still felt today. Yes, the border was artificially drawn, but it's not going anywhere. It's now a fundamental reality, defining laws, governments, and identities. The idea of changing it is unthinkable, economically and politically. The US and Canadian economies are deeply linked. Supply chains cross the border daily. Redrawing the line would cause chaos in every industry. National identity is powerful. Canadians are Canadians, Americans are Americans. There's no appetite for mergers or land swaps. When Trump questions the border, most see it as political theater, not policy. The border has evolved into the world's longest peaceful boundary. It's a testament to 2 centuries of cooperation. Any attempt to change it would unravel that peace. The border's history is interesting, but its future is secure. That artificial line is now one of the world's most permanent.